So welcome one more time into the yoga practice that we will practice the traditional flow. So we sit tall with the spine, with a comfortably resting hands on the knees. If you feel comfortable to close your eyes, you can keep your eyes closed and make sure that the facial muscles are all relaxed. Taking the breath in through the nostrils, taking the breath out through the nostrils. Allow yourself to connect your breath to the elongation of your spine. On inhalation, lengthening up. On exhale, grounding through the legs and hips toward the earth. As you inhale, allow the chest to expand. On exhale, allow yourself to relax through the hips and legs toward the floor. We'll have here 3 more, in which we will admit the beginning of the practice. On next inhale, if you had your eyes gently closed, just open them. And let's release the legs in a comfortable, straight position. If you're finding that you're rounding in your lower back, you can elevate your hips with some folded blanket. And let us just move the toes from side to side, maybe circling them a couple of times in one direction, circling them in the other direction. And then let's bend the left knee, so it's a little bit easy to keep the spine straight, and then just walk with the right hand as far away and drop the right ear toward the right shoulder. And then when you're ready, take your left arm up toward the ceiling, and then just allow the arm to go slightly above the head, and maybe pulse a little bit toward the right with a 3, 2, 1, and then release the left arm, sitting tall. Maybe bringing the right hand against the left thigh and gently twist yourself, and maybe also pulse a little bit for 3, 2, 1. And come back into the center. Bring the hands in front and just walk them forward. Drop the head around the spine. Just allow yourself very gently, very passively stretch the back of your body. You might feel it in your right leg as well. Keep your right foot flexed. That's going to intensify the stretch. Drop the head to add some stretch to the neck and upper back. And then let's come all the way up into seated position. We'll change the legs. Extend your left leg, bend your right knee. Make sure you're comfortably sitting here, and then walk with the left hand away, taking the right arm up. First, just open the right side of the body, and then if it's comfortable in your shoulder, you can take your arm slightly over the head and pulse here for 3, 2, 1, and then just release back, sitting tall, bringing the left hand against the right thigh, using the right arm as the support and twisting to the right, going for 3, 2, 1, and then come back into the center, walking the hands forward, flexing the left foot, dropping the head and adding a little bit of stretch, adding a stretch to the back of the left leg and holding here, maybe moving the head from side to side a little bit. And then very slowly come up into the seated position. Let's extend both legs here, adjust the seat bones, and take your arms to the side, palms facing the front. We're going to twist again to the right and pulsing here, maybe 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, returning back to the center, going to the left, twisting for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming back to the center, bring the hands to the front, and this time trying to keep the spine straight. Flex your feet. It's going to be more of an active a fold. So it's like you want to pull the floor toward the hips and moving the chest forward. So not so much coming down, but more of a moving forward, trying to have an active stretch. This time you feel the stretch along the whole spine. And maybe you feel like you want to move your head a little bit from side to side. And then let's come back into seated position, this time crossing the ankles and moving into the tabletop position. So set yourself in a comfortable tabletop position with the hands shoulder width apart, with the knees hip distance apart, and let's come into the calf stretch. So this is the first time we're involving the lower back, so feel free to hold here as long as you need to create some stretch, and then very slowly let's move into the dog stretch. And again, press the floor, rounding the spine, coming into the cat stretch. Again, inhale, lifting the chin. And from here, we're flowing for 3, 5 times. Go as slow or as fast as it feels right for your spine. As well as connect the breath to the movement. Finishing the last one. So those gentle moves of the spine, just warm it up and prepared for the more active movements. Let's take the knees wide, drop the hips down, walk your hands and give it a gaze to the front of the mat. So really be active in this child pose. And then if it's comfortable, you can place the forehead down on the floor, but you lifting the base of the palms and just feel that you are really actively elongating here on the side. If you have some restrictions in your shoulders, just adjust. You might not bring the forehead down. This might be too much for you. Try to create one line from the base of the palm to the shoulder. Make sure you're not lifting the shoulders too high. Take another exhale and then just slide your hands and come to the belly line position. So take your time to adjust this position to have your elbows 90 degrees, forearm shoulder width apart. And for this first one, you might keep your feet a little bit apart. So that will be a more gentle position for the lower back extension. And as we're going to go into extension, I would like you to note that you're not lifting the chin. I know that sometimes you need to look into screen, so try to look without lifting chin too high and compressing the back of the neck. So let us first find strong legs and strong glutes, and even feel like your belly button comes slightly off the floor to support the lower back. And you would like to keep this engagement of the lower body. As our next inhale, we're going to lift the elbows a little bit, keeping shoulders away from the ears. Maybe your elbows are still bent, so don't compress too much and then release. We're going to have 4 more. And if you feel that you can go higher with the elbows straight, you're welcome to go there. And then exhale, come down. So go with your own pace to activate their lower back extension. And then come down. You might feel you want to drop the head also to give some stretch for the neck. And then 2 more times lift up, but make sure that you support the lower back with the lower body muscles engaged. Take 1 more time up and then exhale down. Bring the hands to the sides of the ribcage to press the hips back, round the spine, and bring the forehead down on the floor. So this is a contour pose for your back bend here. So maybe feel moving from side to side here. Exhale, and then let's come into the tabletop position. Let's activate the core muscles a little bit here, and from the tabletop position, we're going to tag the toes, maintain neutral spine, so you're not tucking the tailbone under. We're going to lift the knees off the floor and hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the knees. If you feel you need a bit of a stretch for the wrist, stretch the wrist for the moment, and we're going to have 2 more like that. Coming into the tabletop position, setting the knees hip distance, tucking the toes, lifting the knees off the floor, maintaining neutral spine, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dropping the knees. Exhale again, maybe a quick stretch, quick release for the wrist, and 1 more time. Coming into the tabletop, tucking the toes, lifting the knees, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dropping the knees. Exhale. Stepping the right foot forward into lunge. Let us have blocks here to start with. So it's just giving you a little bit more space to warm up your hips, right? So let us first just set the back knee, left knee in a comfortable position, and then press the right knee forward. So opening the left hip flexor and compressing the right hip. If you feel that you need to be higher, welcome to go here. So just pulse here forward a little bit just to warm up the hips a couple of times, and then using the blocks, high or a bit lower position, push the hips back and flex the foot. You don't need to fold forward yet, so just flex the foot and feel some more active stretch of the hamstrings. So taking the breath here. And then move forward again. Again, move your blocks with you and press a couple of times. Maybe 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Move the hips back, flex the foot, keeping chest open, and just feeling some stretch on the hamstring. Maybe again, just working a little bit with a pulsing here. And then come back into the lunge. This time, try to keep your right shin perpendicular to the floor. Use the block probably on the high level. Tug the toes and lift the back knee off the floor. So when we're coming from the floor, sometimes we're just too wide here. So if you feel you want to step a little bit closer to feel that you're using the back leg more, welcome to adjust. Have just the tip of the fingers on the block. And then lift your belly from the thigh. So you're lifting the hips and start using the back leg a little bit more for support. Front knee 90 degree. So now you should have some space between your right thigh and your abdomen. And take your arms on the both sides of the head. Gazes down to the big toe. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the hands on the block, drop the left knee down to the floor, and let's change. Let's step the left foot forward. And as we started on the right, we're first just warming up the right hip. So moving forward, maybe a couple of pulses here to warm up your right hip. So go in here, and then when you're ready, you're going to use your block and move the hips back. Flex the foot, keeping the chest open. Maybe also working toward the pulsing, flexing the foot and stretching the left hamstring. Let's come again forward. Push it here a couple of times. And then move the hips back. Opening the hamstring. You can also feel the calf if it's a tight, maybe even your lower back. So you decide what is more important. You can be really high in this position if you're very tight. One more time, coming forward. Going into the deeper lunge with the knee on the floor, and coming one more time, flexing the left foot, stretching the hamstring and calf. Take an exhale, and then as we move forward, we use the block for support, tucking the right toes and lifting the right knee. If you feel you need to adjust, please adjust. Have the tip of the fingers on the block, and then lift the torso off the thigh a little bit. Start feeling that your lower body is giving the support for the upper body, and you take your arms on the both sides of the head. Make sure that you're not collapsing to the front leg. You're using the back leg. That's probably already 3, 2, 1. Release the hands on the block. Drop the knees. Bring knees together. You can release the block on the side of the mat. Set your hands shoulder width apart with the middle finger facing front, and lift your knees into the downward dog. So this is the first downward dog, and let's walk this dog. Maybe allow yourself to move the hips a little bit. So really allow this downward dog to be fluid. Maybe even bringing the body weight to one hand, to another hand. So just play with this dog. And then when you're ready to hold that, just bring the head between your arms, press the hips up. Inhale, and then look forward and walk to the front of the mat. Hang here for the moment. Shake your head, relax your arms, relax your shoulders, and then slowly vertebra by vertebra, let's come up into the standing position. So have a moment here. We were with the head down. Have a moment here with blood circulation coming back to normal. Open your chest, stretch the tip of the fingers down to the floor, and we will go through the couple of sun salutations here. With inhale, lift the arms up, keeping the arms on both sides of the head. Hinge from the hips. Exhale, folding forward, releasing the head down to the floor. Bring the hands on the shins. Lift the chest halfway. Make sure you're using the back of your leg for support. Then touch the floor and step the left foot back. Take your time to adjust the distance between the feet that you feel comfortable and supported, and then lift the torso up. Keep both legs using here to support the upper body, and take your arms up into the warrior one. Relax the shoulders. If the shoulders are very tight, you might want to have your arms 45 degrees or even parallel to the floor, as you don't want to create additional tension on the shoulders. On next exhale, bring the hands on the floor, drop the left knee, and bring the right knee together. So you're in a tabletop position. And then from here, tuck the toes and come into the plank. Push the floor, keep the neck neutral, don't drop the head here. Tuck the tailbone under, use your glutes to support the hips here. And then drop the knees, so you're in a half plank. Your shoulders are still forward, so don't move your hips back. Your shoulders coming forward, and then you bend your elbows and find your body down on the prone position on the belly. Adjust the hands on the sides of the ribcage, roll the shoulders back, point the toes, press the chest up into the moderate cobra. Hold here and then tuck the toes. Maybe through the tabletop position, come into the downward dog. Exhale. Hold this downward dog and let this downward dog be the contour pose here for the back bend. Also, we're using the downward dog. It's an arm strengthening, it's an arm balance pose, but also a great traction of the spine. As with the gravity, we're pulling the spine the opposite direction. That is usually stands to support us. Look forward and walk to the front of the mat. Bring the hands on the shins, lift the chest halfway, and then press the feet and open the arms up. Inhale, exhale, bring the arms on both sides of the hips. Take a breath and let's go other side. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, hinging all the way down, release the head. On next inhale, step in the right foot back. Take your time to adjust the stance that working for you. Bring the hands on the hips and lift the torso up. Take a moment to check that the front knee not passing forward, so you're not overloading the left thigh. Inhale the arms up again. Variation is 45 or even parallel to the floor, as long as your shoulders feel happy here. Hold. On exhale, bring the hands on the floor. Drop the right knee down to the floor. Bring the left knee so you're in a tabletop position, and then tuck the toes and lift the knees off the floor. Push the floor. Think of resisting the gravity. Hold the belly in like you want to press the belly into the spine. Then drop the knees, moving shoulders forward. Come all the way down. Exhale. Adjust the hands if needed. This time legs are strong and lift the chest up into the cobra. Tuck the toes. Exhale into the downward dog. Your knees could be bent as much as needed. Focus more on the traction of the spine. Focus more on keeping the lower back into neutral position. Exhale. Look forward. Walk to the front of the mat. Bring the hands on the shins. Lift the chest halfway. Unfold all the way up. Inhale. Exhale. Bring the arms on both sides of the hips. So let us flow and link our left and right side together in one flow. With inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, hinging from the hips all the way into passive fold. Bring the hands on the shins. Lift the chest halfway. Tuck the toes and step the left foot back, and then lift the arms up into warrior one. Hold the warrior one for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the hands on the floor and see if you can take your right leg back right away into plank without lifting the hips. Press the floor. Hold the plank for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the knees down to the floor. Exhale, come down. Readjust the hands on the sides of the rib cage and lift the torso up. Inhale. Press the floor, tuck the toes. Exhale, come into the downward dog. Taking the downward dog, holding that for 5 breaths. On next inhale, look forward and step your left foot forward. Sometimes you need to do several steps. That's fine. Adjust the distance, and when you're ready, inhale the arms up into warrior one. Holding the warrior one for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release hands down to the floor and see if you can slide your left leg back into plank. Hold the plank for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the knees down. Exhale, come down to the floor. Have your hands on the sides of the rib cage and lift the torso up. Maybe some of you able to go into the upward dog, pressing the elbows into straight position and lifting the hips off the floor. Then exhale, come into the downward dog. Head between the arms, lengthening, holding for 5 exhales. On next inhale, look forward, step or walk to the front of the mat. Bring the hands on the shins, lift the chest halfway. So just make sure you are hinging here, and then start bringing the body weight to the heels. Lift your torso so you have all angles, probably 90 degrees. Bring your arms parallel to the floor into the chair pose. Seat as far back as you can, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press from the heels and come all the way up. Inhale, exhale, bring the arms on both sides of the hips. So let us come into the fold forward. So we're going to be hinging from the hips. Bend your knees as much as you need to reach to your big toes. So hold your big toes with middle finger, index finger, and then round that with your thumb. And drop the head. So maybe you really bend it here. And I'll start bringing the body weight slightly forward and think of sending your seat bones up toward the sky. Using a little bit of your bicep strength to pull the crown of the head down. So think first, seat bones goes up and then crown of the head comes down. If you're standing on your heels and you lock in your knees, you're probably really rounded in your upper back. You need to make sure that there's a hinge stays in this hip. So your lower back is all in traction position. And hold here for another exhale. Then release your big toes. And then very slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, let's come up into the standing position. Exhale. So we practice in the triangle as a next pose, and I'm asking you to use your block. So let us turn the right foot out toward the right side of the mat and turn the left foot slightly in. Your heels are aligned, or you might have the alignment of the right heel toward the arch of the left foot. And let us just rotate the hips as much as possible in this position toward the right, and then find the hip hinge and start folding forward. So you fold it toward your right knee. So what happening here? We're very often locking the right knee, like collapsing completely. So make sure that your knee in a micro bend position, so your right hamstring and the right thigh is supporting the knee. So you don't want to put all your weight to the knee. And then just reach, if you can, to the block with the tip of the fingers. If this is too low, you can just have your right hand inside the right knee. And then let us all touch the left shoulder. So we might be folding forward. So try to rotate this left shoulder up. And when you do that, your gaze comes up toward the ceiling. And then from here, you extend your left arm up. And now here, I want you to be focusing on grounding through both heels and then lengthening with the head toward the right and then opening the chest equally to the ceiling and the floor. Keep your gaze up, holding 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release your left hand to your lower back, and then using the core strength from the hips, lift the torso up. And let us build it on the other side. Turn the right foot in, left foot out. Bring the block inside the left foot and allow yourself to rotate the hips to the left as much as it feels natural for you. So don't force anything. And then finding the hip crease here on the left side, coming into the fold, and then reach to the block with the tip of the fingers, or if it's too much for you, bring your left hand inside the left knee. Then touch your right shoulder and open the chest up, and when you do that, bring your gaze up to the ceiling, and then just think of your right arm as extension of your right shoulder. Here, be grounded through the right leg, so don't collapse to the left. And then lengthening toward the left with the crown of the head, and then keeping the chest open, holding 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the right hand to your lower back and come all the way up. Inhale. Pick up the block and let us turn to the right again. This time you will be using 2 blocks on the both sides of the right foot. And for this position, you're turning the back foot much more than you had it on your triangle pose. So your hips should be facing straight forward. And again, from the hip flexion, we're coming into position, maybe just touching the block with the tip of the fingers. Aligning the neck to be parallel to the floor. And then here, I want you to focus on the right hip. I'm gonna be turning, so think of pushing the right hip back, lengthening through the right hamstring, and then taking the head forward. So trying to align the hips. So if you're going to be putting the block on your hips, they should be parallel. So try to avoid collapsing. If that's not possible, you may be holding yourself higher in the torso and having the hands just on the thigh. And then with the time, you will be just flowing down. Hold here, body weight distributed equally between the right and the left leg. It's a huge stretch for the hamstrings. Then using the legs, so you see, I don't need my arms, I'm using my legs in my core. Unfold up and let us change. So stepping the left foot forward, having the blocks on the both sides of the left foot. Turning the back foot forward. And also, you might feel that your feet are not aligned. So you have a little bit of distance of your hip width here between your heels. From the hip flexor, folding forward, maybe touching the block. Maybe this is not for you today and you have your hands on the thigh. And then think of pushing the left hip back, lengthening through the left leg, reaching with the crown of the head forward. Again, you want to make sure that your hips and your lower back is flat here in a neutral position. Avoid rounding. This is not a healthy position. You might need to be higher if it's happening. And then using the legs and core muscles, lift the torso up and step to the front of the mat. Let us have a moment here, just in a standing position, catching the breath. And then we'll step the left foot back, dropping the left knee down to the floor, using 2 blocks here. And make sure that your left knee and the block and the left hand is aligned. And if you feel that your right foot should move a little bit away from the midline, that's fine. Bring the right hand to your right thigh and then tuck the left toes and lift the left knee off the floor. So the main misalignment that practitioners are doing here is collapsing to your left hand, right, and the right leg. So use your back leg as much as possible that you feel you don't really need your right hand. As you twist, you align in the left shoulder above the left block. Bring the right hand to your lower back and keep opening the chest toward the right side of the room. Holding that, 4 or 5. Avoid collapsing to the block, maybe just the tip of the fingers. Holding here, that's probably already 3, 2, 1. Let's drop the left knee. We'll practice this revive triangle on the other side. So get your right block aligned with the right knee. The left is just to support to start with. Then tuck the toes and lift the right knee off the floor. When you're ready, you start feeling that you're using your legs and your core. Your left hand might be on the thigh, right hand is touching the block and you're twisting to the left. Bring the left hand to your lower back and continue to distribute the weight more toward the right leg. You would like to send your right shoulder forward and noticing that the torso is just continuation of your right leg. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let us just step to the front and slowly come into standing position. So we will incorporate this twist into our next flow. Holding hands on the both sides of the hips. You might take a moment to check your breath, and when you're ready, With inhale, lift your arms up. Hinging from the hips, folding forward. Exhale. Touching the floor and stepping the left foot back into the lunge. Lifting the hips and arms and torso up into warrior one. Holding the warrior one. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the hands on the hips and drop your left heel down. So your right knee is now bent. Bring it into straight position. You're facing the long side of the left side of the mat. Fold forward and come into triangle pose. This time just press the right hand into the right shin. Opening the chest, holding 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the left hand, right hand down to the floor. Lift your left heel and slide your right foot into plank. Hold the plank. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the knees down to the floor. Exhale, come down. Using your legs and glutes to support the lower back. Lift the torso off the floor for a cobra. And then tug the toes. Exhale, come into the downward dog. Lengthening here. On next inhale, look forward and step your left foot forward. Bring your hands on the hips, lift the torso up. Use the back leg for support, lift the arms up. Holding the warrior one. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the arms, drop the right heel first, and then bring the front knee straight. Taking the hips to the right, lowering your torso in a straight position toward the left knee. Bringing the left hand inside the left thigh, taking the right arm up into triangle, holding 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the hands on the floor and step into plank. Pushing the floor, holding 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the knees. Exhale, come down. Bring the hands on the sides of the rib cage. Pointing toes, lift the chest up. And then tuck the toes. Exhale into the downward dog. So shaking the head, using every time we're in downward dog to release and create the traction of the spine and stretching the back of the body. Step your left foot a little bit closer to the midline and step your right foot forward into lunge. If you want, you can use the blocks here on the both sides of the right foot. Having the left hand on the block, bringing the right hand to your thigh, twist to the right, and then you can bring the right hand to your lower back. Twisting here, using the back leg, left leg, that would holding you here. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Unfold. If you're using blocks, have a tip of the fingers on the block and then have your torso slightly lift from the right side. Take your both arms on the both sides of the head, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can release the blocks on the sides of the mat and step into downward dog. Exhale. Taking another exhale, stepping the left foot forward. We have the same sequence of 2 positions on the left. Use your blocks if you need and adjust your back leg. Then have a right hand on the block. Bring the left hand to your lower back and twist to the left. Hold here. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Unfold. Make sure you are using your legs and your abdomen muscles are pulled in. Take your arms on the both sides of the head. Not collapsing to the left side. Using the back leg. This is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the blocks and step into downward dog. Exhale. On exhale, slide into plank. Push the floor. Use your glutes to support the bigger and heavier part of the body, the hips. And then come to the downward dog. Exhale. And then again, come to the plank. Hold the plank. Make sure shoulders above the palms. And then come to the downward dog. Exhale. One more time, come to the plank. And then go to the downward dog. Exhale. Look forward and walk to the front of the mat. Bring the hands on the shins. Lift the chest halfway and come into the Utkatasana, chair pose. Holding arms just in a comfortable position for the shoulders, 4, 5. Maybe sit a little bit lower for 4. Maybe sit a little bit lower for 3. Maybe even lower for 2, and then press yourself up. Inhale, exhale, bring the arms on both sides of the hips. Let's step the feet wide and maybe use the block in between your feet. Turn your toes in and from the hip hinge forward. So let's place the block under the chest and use as comfortable height of the block. So making sure that you're not rounded in your lower back. You might find that your block have to come on the floor, so your hips are aligned with the heels and you have all this length of your spine between the block. And then have your left hand on the block, bring the right hand to your lower back, twist to the right. If your shoulder cooperate, you might take your right arm up. But if you're finding that your shoulder is holding your arm low, maybe it's the best to have your hand on the lower back and work toward external rotation of the shoulder. Your knees could be soft, and if you soften in them, try to make sure that it's symmetrical here. On exhale, bring your torso back parallel to the floor, and let's go to the other side. Bring the left hand on the lower back twist, maybe taking the left arm up. If this is too much, just ignore and have your hand on the lower back. Knees are equally, so sometimes we're dropping one knee lower than the other. Make sure that you equally feel it. And exhale, bring the hand down. So from here, you might release yourself down in a soft way. So if you're not reaching the floor, you might interlace your elbows and drop the head, bend your knees a little bit, and just think of the stretch goes from the heels to the seat bones, and then passive fold forward with the spine. Shake your head, relax your neck, and then look forward and go heels, toes, into the hip distance position. Pick up the block and come all the way up into standing position. Taking a moment here, we'll bring the block to the left palm and making sure that you have a 90 degree in your elbow. Open the block like you're serving the plate. Bring the body weight to the left foot and lift your right knee. You can use your right hand maybe to pull the knee high. Hold here for the moment and then open the right knee to the side as far as it feels right, but your hips are not rotating. Keep your right foot flexed. Hold. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the knee back to the center and then release. Bring the block to the right hand, open, and then lift the left knee. You can use your left hand to pull it up, flex the foot, and then open the knee to the side. Keep your shoulders and hips facing the front. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the knee back to the center, release. Let us use the block to place it on the lower back and then hinge here. So you are coming into this hinge position, and you can even bring the back of the palms to the block, opening the shoulders. So that's going to force you to maintain your spine straight. Keep your knees slightly bent And bring the body weight to the right foot, bend your left knee, and then extend the left leg. It doesn't need to be high. I want you to think of the straight line from your left heel to the back of your head. If you can drop the torso and lift the leg, that's fine, but you can stay pretty high here, like on a 45-degree. Hold. Make sure that you're not using just the right quadricep, but keep your body weight sit above the hip. Chest is open. Hold. And then using the right leg strength, lifting the chest and lifting the knee up, and release. Very good. Shake your legs, and let's build it on the other side. So come into the hip hinge to start with. Bring the body weight to the left foot, extend the right leg, keep it flexed, keep your hips square. So you don't need to be low, you might be here pretty high. And then if you have a strength, you're lowering your torso and lifting the legs. Left knee is soft, neck is neutral. Feel that your hips are situated above the left heel. Holding. That's 4, 3, 2, 1. And as you lift your torso up without touching the floor, you're lifting the right knee up, holding, and release. Great. Shake your legs, and let's use this block to sit on it as we come into the seated on the floor segment. Bring your feet together, hold your ankles, and lift the chest up. Open your thighs. And now from here, use a little bit of your bicep strength, pull yourself forward. You're coming with a straight spine. Some of you will not see any movement because you want to round. So I want you to avoid rounding, but just coming forward, and feel how you're stretching the whole area of your lumbar spine here, your hips. So just lengthening, just let yourself feel this active traction of the spine that you're achieving by using a little bit of the arm strength. And neck is a part of the spine. Then come back, and now with a sense of this tall spine, keep it like that. Bring your left knee down and keep the right foot in front. Interlace the hands on the top of the right knee. Keep this active elongation through the spine and twist to the right. So try not to overdo the twist in your neck. Your chin more or less aligned with the center of your chest. Keep using the left arm just to give the direction. Don't overuse your left shoulder here. Use the right arm as a second spine to keep long torso. Now close your eyes and try to relax within this pose. Notice how with the relaxation, you're actually going much deeper. Unfold back to the center, lengthening. And here we go to the other side, bringing the right shin down, interlacing the hands on the top of the left knee, and before we twist, we keep the spine tall, knees up toward the ceiling, holding the knee with the right hand, using the left arm for support, twisting to the left, keeping our shoulders aligned. So we love to take the right shoulder up. We like to overwork with the right arm. It's not about that. We're exploring the ability of the thoracic spine to rotate here. Of course, we also having a bit of a compression of internal organs in the abdomen area, and after release, the blood circulation increase there, and that helping the activation of digestive system. Unfold back to the center. So let us take the block away and keep the right leg straight, left knee bent. You might want even to use 2 blocks on both sides of the right thigh. So here I would like you to avoid having the right hip aligned to the front. Move it back so you sit equally. So that means that your left knee might be off the floor. You might use the block to support. Flex your right foot and then walk with your hands or move your blocks forward and reach to just edge of the blocks. Don't drop your head down yet. Pull yourself forward, keeping the right foot flexed and hold. Think of the movement forward and then relaxation down. Movement forward, relaxation down. So you're noticing that more you're holding your blocks, if you're using blocks, can move forward, but you still keep pulling yourself forward. Another exhale, and then let us change. Take your left leg straight, bend your right knee, so make sure to avoid the left hip to come forward. You're not in the angle toward your left foot. You're exactly parallel here. Using the blocks, the left thigh could be much tighter. So using the block and start your position here with a straight spine, and then start working with the breath by moving chest forward and then maybe down. Moving the chest forward, maybe down. You might be able to move the blocks and use the fingers on the edge of the block to pull yourself forward. So you might even feel how your biceps are working here. Neck is neutral, so you're not dropping the head. That's for the passive position. Today practicing the active one. Exhale. Let's have here a little bit longer, because as I told, the left hamstring might be tighter than the right. And let's release. We'll come into the supine position on the back, and make sure you're comfortable with the back of your head. I always suggest to have maybe a folded blanket for those who have slightly rounded upper back and feeling that on the floor head is falling too low. Let us have a knees bent and arms on the sides of the hips. We're going to go into active bridge. So feet are hip distance apart, and when you're ready, you start taking the hips off the floor as high as you can. This time today we're practicing extension, so you're using the glutes to lift the hips up. Feel your hamstring working here. Your arms are pressed to the floor. You might scoop the shoulder blades together to help the thoracic spine to come off the floor. Make sure the knees not falling apart. Knees are facing exactly to the back of your mat. Holding here. Neck is long. Don't press the chin to the chest. And then very slowly come all the way down. Exhale. So let us move the feet a little bit away from the hips, maybe foot, okay? And I would invite you to lift your toes. So you are standing on your heels. You're going to find out if it's too far, if you move too far, or it's too close. As we're going to come into the bridge on the heels, and you're going to start feeling your hamstring. If you feel that this is too easy, you probably need to move the heels a little bit further away. In this bridge, you're not going into too much of extension of the lower back. It's more or less neutral. That is for the hamstring and glutes. Let's come down. So if you are not sure if you're too close or too far, let's move another 2 inches away with the heels. Keep your feet flexed and lift your hips up. And again, you should at some point start feeling your hamstrings working. And that's our goal here. So hold that neutral position. So your lower abdomen here working as well as glutes and hamstrings. come all the way down. And just to challenge you, I'm asking you to move another inch. So you go in a little bit further. Now, if you didn't feel your hamstring, you should lift your hips up and hold. 4 or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come all the way down. Exhale. Bring your knees to your chest and rock from side to side. We will have one more variation of the bridge today. We will bring the feet together, knees apart. So the Baddha Konasana position. And we're going to practice the bridge here. So your outer edges of the feet are on the floor, arms on the sides. You're going to lift your hips and hold. You're going to find that a bit more of a lateral side of the glutes are working here to support the bridge. And hold. 4 or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the hips down. Exhale. We have 2 more progressions here. So lift the hips up. Maybe a little bit higher. Maybe squeeze the shoulder blades. Hold. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come all the way down. Now let us bring the feet back to the hip distance and bring your right ankle on the top of the left. Bring the left heel as close as possible and lift yourself up. So you're on a one-legged bridge. Hold. Press the left heel down. Try to lift the hip high. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come all the way down and we'll change the legs. Bring the left ankle on the top of the right knee. Keep your right heel. It's easier when the right heel is closer to the hips, especially for the one-legged bridge. Lift the hips up and hold. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come all the way down. Let's again have a little bit of a break here. Bringing the knees to the chest. And then we basically come into the same position with the left ankle on the top of the right knee, but this time you're interlacing the hands behind the right thigh. You can keep the legs straight or bent and just pull the knee toward the chest to achieve the stretch, this time for the left glute. If you're keeping the right leg straight, you can feel a bit of the stretch for the right hamstring as well. Make sure you're keeping your left ankle flexed. That's going to support your left knee. Keep shoulders relaxed, neck long. And let's release the right leg and we'll practice that on the other side. Bring the right ankle on the top of the left knee and move hips forward. Interlace the hands. Flex the left foot. Flex the right foot as well, and you should feel nice stretch around the area of the right glute, left hamstring. And don't tense your shoulders. If you feel that to hold the hands behind the thigh is too much for you, you can just use the strength of the leg to secure the ankle and the shoulders are relaxed. We don't need to create an extra tension on the top of the shoulders. And release the leg. Exhale. So let us bring the arms in T position. Separate the feet as wide as it feels right. And drop the knees to the right. You can turn the head to the left. From here, you're welcome to progress to any twist position that you love. Maybe you love to have both knees a little bit further to the right. Maybe right leg goes straight, left knee goes across. So anything that feels right. Keep exhaling here. Keep releasing any muscular engagement of the lower back and glutes that we put especially in the end of the practice. Taking another exhale, let's bring the knees back. Readjust your pelvis, your shoulders, the crown of the head back to the midline. Drop the knees to the left. Hold this for a couple of moments and then progress to any position that feels right for you to practice at this moment. Hold in another 3 exhales. And then coming back to the center. We'll practice the happy baby pose. So the variation could be here with just bent knees, reaching to the feet, holding the heels low. And what we want to focus is the lumbar spine. So we want to get nice stretch of the lumbar spine. If it's working for you, you can lift your heels. And here I would invite you to have your shins perpendicular to the floor, knees as wide as it feels, and don't lift your tailbone off the floor. Keep the tailbone down. If you finding that it is more challenging to hold the feet, you can hold the ankles or you can hold just behind the knees here. I want you to keep your shoulders relaxed and the whole spine is here lengthening, pressed to the floor. So we want to create another sense of traction for the spine without compromising any part of it. So there's a variation here to hold, depend on your flexibility. Let's hold that for 5 more exhales. And then let's release the legs, release the arms and shake them. Shake them really hard. Relax all the muscles. Feel your joint. You should relax your muscles so you feel your ankles, you feel your knees, you feel your wrist, elbows, because nothing's supporting the joints anymore. So you should feel your cuffs are jiggling, your quads are jiggling here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then we will take a moment to find a position for Shavasana. Extending the legs, extending the arms, adjusting the back of the head. When you found your comfortable position, let's take a couple of long exhalations through the mouth, like take an inhale and exhaling. You can go a couple of more times on your own. Just taking any tension, any engagement, muscular or even mental, to follow the practice. Sometimes it's pretty challenging. So take any effort from the mind and body away to practice the full relaxation. As you practice Shavasana, you would like to focus on the inhalation and exhalation naturally flowing through the nostrils, in and out. You're not forcing any certain pattern. You're just letting the respiratory system to work for you. Notice it. Notice sensations that are rising in the body as you practice in your final pose. Another exhale. And then you will add the movements and fingers and toes, circles and wrists and ankles till you're ready to bend your knees. Maybe hug the knees or right away roll to one side. And when you're ready, you come into seated position. It could be cross-leg position if it's working for you, or one leg could be straight. Bring your hands to your knees to rest, relax the shoulders. And when you're ready, bring your hands in front of your heart. Take a moment to admit the end of the practice. Without judging how you did today, take a note of the positive energy that we generated together, we shared even through the screens. Take it as your guide to enjoy for the rest of the day, for the rest of the week. Namaste.